Tom, can you rank names of people who participate?
Participate for,
In Zoom?
yeah, I've got their email request. Yeah. Can that be in this?
Did you guys get new power?
Eyes on the side though?
We changed it Saturday.
I just follow along.
You just follow along and write your notes?
I just follow along.
Oh, yes.
If you want, if you need it,
Yeah.
Hey, how are we doing today?
Talk again about yeah, I did get your note today. I got it.
There we go.
Talk.
No?
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Very much.
Yeah, share it right now. Now I gotta stop sharing and then do it.
Okay. Are you ready?
Hold on, no, not yet. Sorry.
I know, it doesn't look clear, does it? It's a little fuzzy.
That's the projection. Yeah, that's the projection. You wanna turn it to the. Yeah. There.
One or two? You want one or you want? I want two. Three. Three better. Better.
Give me a second, hon.
Take your time.
So I guess I'm just gonna have to show this one.
I'll find out when they send me the bill.
What I usually cross, but.
You know what? We don't have anybody new here. Do you want me to start with the first 5 slides?
That's, yeah, I guess, well, we'll just go with this. That's fine.
What are you trying to get?
Well, it's not doing what it normally does, so, but we're fine. Go ahead.
All right. All right, good evening, thank you for coming again. The few faces in the room look familiar. I'm supposed to not move from here. And so tonight we are gonna talk about the bylaws. I wanna welcome, we have our communications department, Tim Groko and Kirsten Heim. And then also we have board members here, Henry Doden, Gordy Williams, Tom Ohm, Mike Harris, Steve Tribby, Barb Hendren, and Steve Force. Reminder of the process and, the charge of the legal commission, again, you have been at the other two meetings. I don't want to have to repeat myself, but again, what we are to do right now, we have spent the last 5 years, the last 3 of the 5 years with an attorney by our side, rewriting the governing documents. And now we are at the point where we are to present it to the membership, we are to present it to the board. The board got a little bit of an introduction on Saturday of changes in the bylaws, but they're in the same position as all of us, they're learning it each time we present. Do you wanna go ahead and change slides? Our members are Rich Perzula, former member, as of Saturday, myself, Steve Jennings, who's present tonight, Bill Doran, Sandra Malahy, and David Aldred. And then former members are Marge Clark, Kathy Richards, Lois Skotzowitz, and Larry, Lodi. The association council is Key and Costello. We have worked very closely with Keith Jones. Keith Jones has extensive experience in preparing and amending association governing documents, such as declarations, bylaws, rules and regs, etc. So he's worked very, very closely with us. Our process for approval is to present to the board, get their feedback, get their suggestions for changes, also town hall meetings for the membership, and then legal commission. Each time we get a question, we go back to legal commission. Our next meeting is Monday, October 26th, I believe.
Yes.
And we will, again, continue to go through questions. And we also post the questions on the webpage, and at the top, if you click on Town Hall, and then scroll down a little bit, you will see all the questions that have been submitted. It's very, very important if you have a suggestion, a question, that you submit it. This is our way of reaching out to the membership. We really want you to help us at this point in the process as a partner. Tonight, as always, there's this piece of paper. When it's written down, it's so much easier to submit it to the other legal commission members and not try to paraphrase what you were asking. Okay, so please, leave them on the table when you leave. I want to point out something else. Tonight, the apple core is available on the table. Tim Groko has learned today that because of election season and many ballots being going out by mail, that there's been a delay in the delivery of our apple core. It went from Stockton to Rockford, and now eventually it'll come back for delivery. But they said the same thing will probably happen with our November apple core. We have a big insert in the apple core. They are available, as you can see, so please pick one up instead of waiting for the mail, because we have included the insert with the bylaw proposed changes and the declaration proposed changes. Thank you. So now we go to the bylaws. Do you want to change the slides?
Wait, that's where, you want the approval or the voting?
Yes.
Here? Okay,
We're on voting, yes.
okay. Voting procedure? Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to take it?
But the slide's still the first page.
Why isn't it showing? Not on my screen. What does your screen say?
Mine has a voting procedure.
All right, we're having a little technical difficulty. Okay. Why would that be? Yeah, but how?
Thank you for your patience.
Nothing. That's what.
Should you just take off the PowerPoint and put it up again, open it up again?
That's what I did.
Is it in slideshow?
No.
Sean, did you open it up through the PowerPoint or through the document?
Through Zoom. That's the way we always do it.
I do have my flash drive, if that would help.
No, that's not the problem.
Sorry. There we go. Oh. Okay. And you might want to just leave it open, Sean, on the, where you had it.
Yeah, but I'm not sharing it right now, so I'm gonna share it too. And when I change it, is it gonna change on here? No.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, and I had to do that when I did a Zoom presentation.
Okay, I think we got it finally, it finally took.
All right.
Voting procedure?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so for the bylaws, the voting procedure is a little different. We need, for the bylaws, only the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the votes cast. So unlike the declaration, that's 2/3 of all voting members, 1,830. How many ever votes are cast for the bylaws, we just need an affirmative 2/3 of those votes cast. So it's a little different voting procedure than the declaration. The notice is at least 14 days, but not more than 40 days in advance, okay? So if we get 1,000 votes for the bylaws, we would need 667 affirmative votes for it to pass. So it's a little different than the declaration. Some of the changes made, that we've had discussions here at, town halls and at board of directors. The acquisition of the land was the first town hall, Article 3, Section 3, reserved properties. That language has been changed back to the original language in the 17 declaration. The quorum was brought up actually at the first reading for the board of directors, and we've changed that also back to the original language stating that any motion by the board has to be passed with 5 affirmatives, not a simple majority of the quorum of the board of directors. So those two changes have gone back to original language. The order of the community interest instruments, it was asked, should board policy be above AECC? The legal commission discussed this, and they felt that because the building code pertains to all owners, where board policy is just for the board, that will keep the building code above board policy at this time. So that was a discussion that they decided on not changing. For the spouse, it came up a couple of times, and are we discriminating? Because we require them to, for privileges, you have to be, show us that you're your husband and wife, or a married couple, I should say. it's come up a few times, so I did go to legal counsel just to make sure didn't have a problem, there was no discrimination there. And his statement was, there are a number of instances in society and the law where legally married spouses are given preferential treatment over a non-married boyfriend-girlfriend. And to my opinion, this is no different. The term spouse applies to both heterosexual and homosexual couples that are legally married. So there's no discrimination from that standpoint. So in the attorney's opinion, we are not discriminating by requiring the privilege. This is, if the privilege to use the amenities to be a spouse and not have to not require that language there. So we're not gonna make the change there. Another change was AECC, and this one had to do with, if there's not an architect or an engineer available for the AECC, the board could, not only hire them, but also retain them to help. And the question was, is there duplicated language within that paragraph? Legal commission decided that they thought that those sentences there meant different things, so at this time they said no change for that. And then, Water Service, Article 8, Section 1 of the Declaration, it said how they can bill the owners, and monthly wasn't in there, then that's how everybody gets billed, so we added the word monthly to that. So those are the changes that have been made, or some of the requests for changes that we've had, that we wanted to review today. Okay, protocol for gathering, participants from feedback for tonight. If you were here for the second town hall rather, where we go through an article and then we'll have discussion after that article. So, please refrain from questioning while we're going through it, but we will take time after each article to see if there's questions, or concerns there, okay? For those on Zoom, if you want to use the chat button, you can chat and send me a question and then I'll read it aloud. And then for those on Facebook Live, the comment section would be that, and then Tim and Kirsten will pass that on and we'll read those too. So, that's how we'll get feedback tonight. As Jody said, if you have questions and you're here, please fill out the paper for it. It is easier for me to submit those to legal that way rather than a paraphrase. So to make sure that we get your questions correct, please do that way. Okay, let's get into the bylaws, okay? The preamble and the recitals are new to the bylaws. The 17 did not include a preamble or a recital. So this is replicated language from the amended and restated declaration. So it is the same, but we felt that it was necessary to have a preamble and recitals to the bylaws, so those have been added. In Article 1 is definitions, and the definitions have changed just really to update it for SECA, for terms, committee, commissions, also for voters, voting members, and then the way owners and members, that's been changed also. So definition of SECA, articles of incorporation, Apple Corps, voting member ticket, nominating committee guidelines, and tellers commission have been changed, but those changes are only for those reasons. In Article 2, membership, we removed the language from the 17 amended and restated bylaws on membership because it is in Article 4, Section 1 of the restated declaration, which outlines the membership rights. The legal talked about this with the attorney and said, we've got a lot of duplication between bylaws and declaration. Do we really need that? And the ultimate decision between the two was no, we don't. So there's some references in here, Article 2, but overall the attorney suggested there's no reason to repeat this language with the bylaws that is already included with the declaration in order to avoid unnecessary duplication and any inadvertent inconsistencies. Any questions on that, Article 2? Okay. Onward to Article 3, voting rights. Section 2 was removed from the previous amended and restated bylaws because the language is within the declaration, Article 4, Section 2, outlining the voting rights. Okay, so another one that was duplicated. and same thing. Attorney suggested that there was no reason to repeat the language in the bylaws, so we took that out. Any questions on that? Okay, old Article 4 was property rights and rights of enjoyment of common properties. That's in the 17 bylaws. Article 4, Section 1, 2, and 3 were removed from the 17, or from the, in the proposed bylaws because it's included in proposed declaration, Article 5. So now the new Article 4 in the proposed amended and restated bylaws is association purposes and powers, okay? Within that, Section 1, language has changed. The association is organized for the purposes of set forth in Article 5 of the Articles of Incorporation. So that was added. Section 2 is updating the language from the covenants to the declaration, simply just making a change there. Section 3, updating the language and putting in new written notice language of at least 10 days and not more than 30 days in advance. Okay? Other changes to Section 4 and 5 are the same thing. Notice, and then changes of owner and member in 2/3. Any question at all on 4, Article 4? Okay?
Okay, so the next section is Article 5, Board of Directors. So in Section 1 of Article 5, it's updating language with owner and/or voting member. Article 2, Section 2 is clarity in filling vacancies of the board. And so this clarity is about if we have a resignation in March or April after nominations have been submitted, and that resignation, the board can fill the vacancy, but only until the next annual meeting. So that would just be until the following June. And then the candidate, the vacancy would be filled with the next person on the ballot or a write-in for.
Yeah, basically whoever comes in 4th place.
Right. So that is clear, and that is Tika.
Correct.
Then Section 3, new language was added regarding new board members completing information for the general manager. So that's just all new language. Any questions about Article 5? Article 6, voting procedures, election of directors. The new language is in Section 3. And the language is about cumulative voting is not permitted. So in the event that multiple positions on the board are up for election in an election meeting, the voting member need not cast a vote on the written ballots for a candidate to fill every board position, which is up for election, but may not cast more than one vote of each written ballot for any particular candidate. Cumulative voting shall not be permitted. If we have 3 positions open on the board, which is pretty typical, you don't have to vote for 3 individuals if you choose not to, but you can't vote for give one individual 1 vote and another individual 2 votes. Does that make sense? That's cumulative voting, okay? Any questions about voting procedures, Article 6? Good. Article 7 is powers and duties of the Board of Directors. Okay? So, we deleted language H, L, J, K, because this is duplicated language in the proposed amended and restated declaration in Article 6, Section 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So what you see for a lot of the changes is clarification, if it's the owner or the owner voting member, in the language. There, in the proposed K, language was added that the board may suspend the enjoyment rights of any owner. And this was typical language, but what was added was the due process component. After the owner has been given notice of the infraction and an opportunity to be heard. Okay? Then the proposed language in M regarding records, new language was added to align with SECA regarding owner's right to examine and copy association records. M also replaces old Article 16, books and records. So you'll hear this again at the end of the presentation. When we get to Article 16, we're going to tell you it was deleted. This is where it is. So this is in regard to examining, inspecting, and receiving copies of any records kept in the office. Also, in Article 7, proposed N, to call special meetings of the voting members whenever it deems necessary or at any time upon the written request of voting members holding 20% of the total votes in the association per SECA. 20% replaces the 125 total vote language. Okay? We've included here the attorney's clarification. Okay? The number of voting members required to call a special meeting of voting members was revised to 20%, consistent with the reference in Section 1-40B3 of the SECA, and to match the change in Article 7, Section 6 of the bylaws to the quorum requirements for voting member meetings to 20%. Section 140B1 and 140B3 of the SECA would allow the association to have a lower quorum requirement and a lower threshold for the number of voting members required to call a special meeting of the owners. However, these two provisions should be consistent so the association doesn't have a situation, for example, where only 125 owners need to sign a petition to call a special meeting of owners, but then several hundred more owners would be necessary to achieve a quorum at that special meeting. So this question has been raised by membership, and we have gone back to the attorney to get clarification, because the part that's confusing is that section that says it allows the association to have a lower quorum requirement and a lower threshold for the number of voting members required to call a special meeting. But you still have to have 20% voting, yes. So
we can lower it, if, we could lower it back to 125 per SECA, so.
Right.
And that's what, Marge has brought that up, but we got the question after legal commission met last week, so.
Right.
So it will come up
It'll go
on
back.
Monday at the legal commission meeting, Marge, so we can discuss it, in commission. So next Wednesday at the town hall meeting, we'll have an update for you then, okay?
Okay, Article 7, Powers and Duties of the Board of Directors, Section P. To obtain and maintain fidelity insurance covering persons who control or disperse funds for the association for the maximum amount that is commercially available or reasonably required to protect funds that are in the custody and control of the association. So that was the language added. And then, in the 2017 amended and restated bylaws, U was deleted, and that was to cause to be kept and made available for examination and copying at convenient hours of the weekday by any owner. We removed that language because it's now in M. Okay? Those are the changes in Article 7, Powers and Duties of the Board of Directors. Anyone comment? Go ahead, Edie, you gotta come up and say your name and... Wait till the microphone's gotta be on because they can't hear you on Zoom. Is it on?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so, Edie Patel, 11209, so it says here, maintain a current roster of all lots and dwellings, blah, 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 to prepare an annual directory of the names and addresses of all owners, and make it available to all members upon request and payment of a reasonable fee. We haven't had an owner's roster update for at least 4 or 5 years.
You've got one right now.
Yeah.
October 1st, it was updated.
Okay, so are you selling them for $5 again?
Mm-hmm.
You should let people know.
Yeah, that should be in our next application, you're right.
That's fine, I can do that, yeah. There was a delay in it because of a legal question we had last year, so that was a delay to it, but in October 1st, we've got it available.
Okay.
And that'll be updated annually on October 1st every year.
You might want to let people know that maybe they can pay an extra $5 or whatever it is nowadays,
That's fine.
and pick it up when they pick up their...
Good idea. Tim and Kirsten, can you make note of that too for the next application? A little separate blurb that just says that the directory, 2020 directory is available. Thank you, Edie. Anything in chat? Sean, do you have anything in chat?
I don't, no.
Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment about Article 7? Okay. So as you leave today, what you know is that one question about the 125 or 20% will be going to legal on Monday. Okay. Article 8, board meetings. And this is Section 1, regular meetings. So in Section 1, regular meetings, the language was revised to be consistent with CETA. So the language in red on your bylaws is at regular meeting of the Board of Directors shall be held not less than 4 times each year at such times as the board may fix. The date, time, location of all regular meetings shall be posted and published in the Apocor, the administrative offices, and on the association's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. If a regular meeting needs to be rescheduled, the date, time, and location of the rescheduled meeting shall be posted on the association's website and at the clubhouse at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Okay? Then in Article 8, there's a lot of new language in special meetings. Special meetings of the board may be called by the president or at least 25% of the members of the board. Notice of special meetings of the board shall be given to all members of the board, owners, and voting members at least 48 hours prior to such meeting, setting forth the date, time, location of such meeting, and the matter or matters to be acted upon by the board at such meeting. Notice shall be given by either United States mail, postage prepaid, sent to recipient's address on file with the association, or 2, by hand delivery, or 3, by any commonly used electronic media, including but not limited to email or facsimile, pursuant to electronic communication policies adopted from time to time by the board, provided that the recipient has provided the association with his or her fax number or email address or other address for receipt of such electronic communication. Alternatively, instead of providing owners individually with such notice, copies of such notice shall be posted at the administrative offices and on the association website at least 48 hours prior to such meeting. This is language consistent with SECA. Okay? Now, Article 8, Section 3. This is about meetings concerning budget matters. The new language was revised to be consistent with SECA. Owners and voting members are the individuals who have the right to receive meeting notices and attend the meeting. Additional language includes, alternatively, instead of providing owners and voting members individually with such notice, copies of such notices shall be published by the Apple Corps and posted on the association's website and at the administrative office, or as otherwise authorized under applicable law. Okay. And I believe we got more. Article 8 information, amended and restated bylaws language in Section 4, methods of notice, has been deleted because it pertained to any regular meeting of the board at which budget matters will be acted upon, and included Section 3 of the proposed amended and restated bylaws under meetings concerning budget matters. Okay? So, amended and restated bylaws language in Section 4 in the 2017 regarding new board members completing a form for the general manager was moved to Article 5, Section 3 of the proposed amended and restated bylaws. Okay? More on Article 8, board meetings. Meetings open to owners, Section 7. Meetings open to owners and voting members. Language was added in 7A to be consistent with SECA on purposes the board may meet in executive session. The added language is, okay, so I'm sorry, this should say Section 8. These are the only reasons a board can meet in executive session and have discussion. Added to that is to discuss litigation when an action against or on behalf of the association has been filed and is pending in a court administrative tribunal, or when the board finds that such an action is probable or imminent. Okay, that was the new language added. and that is section 8. Okay, so the other one is quorum, and that it was 9 in the old, but the language at this current time is the same language in the 2017. Is that not right, John?
It is.
Okay.
That's the language we changed back.
Okay, a quorum shall consist of the majority of the board incumbent at such time, unless otherwise expressively provided herein in the restated covenants or required by law. Any action taken by the board upon the affirmative vote of a majority of those directors present at its meeting when a quorum is present. So it was deleted, we added it back. And I believe that is section, or Article 8. Discussion. Anyone? Okay, seeing none. Article 9, removal of directors. Section 2 was modified with new language to align with the Illinois General Not-for-Profit Corporation Act and SECA. So this is on page 12.
You're at page 12 of the comparison.
Of the comparison. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, the call for removal may be made by any 4 or more members of the board or upon written request of voting members having at least 125 of the total votes in the association. Such call for removal shall specifically name the board members whose removal is sought. If such a call for removal takes place, then a special meeting of the voting members shall be called within 60 days of the call for removal has been received for the purpose of voting on the removal of the board members named in the call for removal. The meeting notice for such meeting shall state that a purpose of the special meeting is to vote upon the removal of the board members named in the meeting notice. Only the board members named in the meeting notice may be removed at such meeting. At such meeting, prior to the vote for removal taking place, the individuals seeking removal of the board members shall be given an opportunity to present their reasons for seeking such removal, and the board members whose removal is sought shall be given an opportunity to present their defense. Okay? In Article 9, Sections 3 through 5 were removed because Section 108.35A of the General Not-for-Profit Corporation Act allows a board member to be removed with or without cause. Therefore, the requirement for the cause that removal of a board member is sought to be stated in a notice do not comply with that act, since that act does not require any cause for removal. And then Section 6 was removed because Article 8, Section 6 of the amended bylaw already addresses the quorum requirement for owners' meetings. Okay? And that is Article 9. Discussion. Questions?
None.
Okay.
officers to the end.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Article 10, old Article 10 was general manager, but this old language is removed because the board of directors shall appoint a salaried general manager, establish the duties, authority, and compensation of other terms of employment of the manager, because it was already covered under Article 7 in the bylaws, so that's why it was changed, okay? And then in new Article 10, which is officers, committee commission is really the only changing in there, and voting members, okay? Not a lot of other changes to officers, Article 10. Any questions? Okay, Article 11 is now committees, commissions, which changed a little bit because we now have commissions. So the composition of the AACC, changes were made in compliance with the Illinois Not-for-Profit Act, stating that a committee has the power to make decisions for the board of directors as long as the majority of the members of the AACC are board of directors. Apple Lake has two committees, the AACC and then the nominating committee. Committee, by definition of the not-for-profit, is the power to make decisions on behalf of the board of directors. A commission makes recommendations to the board of directors, okay? So the start of this, the first couple of sections, is new language added by the attorney that is typical within bylaws that describe both committees and commissions, the difference between these, who may serve on these bodies, and then the operations of these bodies that is consistent with the Illinois Not-for-Profit Corporation Act, okay? The nominating committee is the only committee provided in the Illinois Not-for-Profit Act that may take action on behalf of a corporation, is not required to have at least 2 board members on it, and have a majority of its members be board members. They're out looking for candidates for the board, so it makes sense, but they are acting on behalf of the association to go find candidates. So they are a committee. Okay, Section 11 is proposed new language from the association attorney on the makeup of the AECC. It's the same language that is in the proposed amended and restated declaration, Article 7, Section 3. Section 19 is new language, and this is the strategic long-range planning that was added because that is now a standing commission. Section 20 is the Appeals Board Commission, and this was added also because it is a standing commission. Okay? Any questions on committee commissions? Okay, Article 12, meetings of the voting members. Section 2, special meetings are revised to be consistent with SECA. Special meetings of the voting members for any purpose may be called at any time by the president or by any 3 or more members of the board, or upon written request of the voting members having at least 20% of the total votes in the association. Okay? Section 3 is notice of meeting is revised to be consistent with SECA. And then Section 6, quorum is revised also to be with SECA, and that is something that will come up in the question that has already been asked, that Legal Commission will handle on Monday. Any question at all about Article 12?
Go ahead, Mike,
Come on up.
come on.
Marge Clark, 1142. It's basically the same question about special meetings in Section 2 with the language being changed to the 20% from the 125. Is this going to be reconsidered also?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll mirror each other based on the decision of the Legal Commission, correct? Yep. Okay, now the deleted articles, Jody mentioned these earlier. Article 15 of the 2017 amended and restated bylaws, language was written ballots, and that's removed because it's, replicated language in Article 4 of the Declaration. Article 16 of the 2017 amended and restated bylaws, language, books, and records was removed because the books and records owners have the right to inspect and copy, already addressed in Article 7, Section M. Section M was amended, which states a reference to SECA provisions regarding owners' right to inspect and copy records. Therefore, this article is removed as unnecessarily repetitive in addition to the fact that this article did not comply with SECA. Article 13 is amendments, and really the only change here is the attorney's comment that includes the bylaw, that bylaw amendments are typically 2/3 of votes cast by the voting members, okay? Other than that, there's just some minor changes to notification and owner members. Article 14, parliamentary authority, no changes there. And then the last article, 15, indemnification of directors or officers, just some changes there with commissions, and then of this article, and that's it.
And that's the bylaws. We thought it was gonna take 2 meetings. So I do wanna remind you that we do have a meeting next Wednesday. The meeting will be, an opportunity to ask questions, get answers, and, more discussion, where, the agenda is basically what the, participants make it. And so, again, it is so important to get your thoughts, your ideas, even during the week. You can email them to Sean, you can email them to me, but as soon as we get them, we forward them to Legal Commission, and if Sean and I review some, that if we feel that they should go to the attorney, with maybe if you made a suggestion for language or something, then we send it on to the attorney, so that we're trying to keep this whole process rolling and, changes being made, so you know that before you get the ballot in, January. And the important thing is, for your part, we are asking you to ask us these questions or suggestions prior to December 1st, because at that point, we will have a recommendation from the board to go ahead, hopefully, to the membership. And then our goal is to send it out with assessment for a savings in postage, rather than sending it out as an individual document. So we need to hear this before we go to print December 1st, because we can't change language after it goes out for a vote with the membership, okay? So this time, go ahead, this time you can ask questions. Please come up to the microphone. Please state your name and lot number and speak so those on Zoom or Facebook Live can hear you. Thanks. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Deb McNamee. I know my address, 13A133, Powder Barn. I don't think I know my lot number.
That's good.
Is that it? 13A133? Okay. All right. I'm talking today about uses on vacant lots, and the proposed covenants seek to prohibit all uses on vacant lots. From my perspective, I see there are 2 categories of vacant lots. The first category is a vacant lot that is adjacent to a lot with a dwelling and owned by the same entity. There are a lot of these cases within Apple Canyon Lake. I did a quick search of the assessor's office online, and I came up with many, many multiple lot owners. So it's going to affect a lot of people. Category 2 is a vacant lot whose owner does not have a lot with a dwelling adjacent to it. So my proposal for category 1 is, because the lots are not combined, the adjacent vacant lot may be sold independent of the lot with the dwelling. Due to the sales potential, it is necessary to limit the use of the lot. The following temporary structures are allowed but may not be permanently affixed. A fire pit, firewood, and a fenced garden may be placed on the adjacent vacant lot. If the lot is sold independent of the adjacent improved lot, the uses must be eliminated before the sale. This provision allows the owner to use the vacant property in conjunction with the dwelling property in a very restricted manner that maintains its vacant status for the future. Proposal for category 2. And I talked about chickens before, and I gave you a disclaimer. I didn't write a disclaimer. I want you to know, I'm going to talk about Mr. Rosenberg in a minute. I don't know. I just know of his case, okay? Second of all, I'll never use my lot next door. It's forested, and I love it that way. So these are not personal issues for me. So proposal for category 2. Vacant lots with no adjacent dwelling have taken a serious financial hit in the last several years. Some lots have sold for $1, and it is against this backdrop that I detail a recent hearing where Howard Rosenberg asked to plant a garden on one of his 2 vacant lots. When his request was denied, he explained the following contradiction. He currently planted a tree or bush on the land and put a fence around them to repel the deer. He wants to plant healthy vegetables, including tomatoes and lettuce, but he needs fencing around the vegetables, or the animals will eat them. His request was denied. The proposed garden use could be controlled by a yearly no-charge permit. I do not anticipate a run on these permits. It is a good passive use of the land and very controllable from a zoning perspective. Mr. Rosenberg owns 3 lots and pays his share of dues. Let's give him a chance to show us that his garden will make a positive impact on the neighborhood. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, Deb. I did pass it on to legal commission today, so it's something that we'll talk about on Monday.
Great, thank you.
And Deb, you brought this up, I believe, at the second town hall meeting, might have been the first one, but I did, meet with some people asking about this, inquiring about this.
Good. Great, thank you.
Anyone else?
Do you have one question on Facebook?
Go ahead.
It's kind of a two-parter. Okay, so.
Do you have a name?
Yes. Carmel Griffin Cottrell.
I'm sorry, what?
Carmel Cottrell.
Okay.
It's in reference, to security. It says, I would like some clarification on covenant proposal, Article 9,
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm thinking I'll give you the microphone.
I can come up too. Start from the top.
Yep, start from the top.
All right.
Is it on?
Probably just got bad IT tonight.
It's fine, but,
Here, want me to read it?
Very loud.
All right.
I'll look at it.
Okay, I would like some clarification on covenant proposal, Article 9, Section 10, security. So if security has no obligation to provide security, why do we have security EMS department included in the budget?
Article, and I believe that's the declaration.
Right. Now, that's language that we went over last town hall, where I stated, this is legalese that we put in there, that the association does not have an obligation to provide security. Now, I think overall, people want security, and we're not saying that we're going to get rid of the security department. It's just in there to state that we are not obligated. There's not an obligation of the association to do so. Overall, I think people like it, they want it, so it's in the budget now, and that's what it is. So that's what that language is, okay? We're not proposing that we're getting rid of security or that we want to, and I think overall, because they're first responders, I think overall everybody would want to keep it that way, and that's our plan for that. Part B of the question, in addition to my previous question regarding security, from the declaration, does this now mean that they do not have the power to write and distribute tickets or to property owners? No, it does not mean that at all. We're not taking away any of that from security, it's just stating that if for some reason the association did not want to provide security, they're not obligated to do so, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plus the fact that security is in charge that you like from the window.
Yeah, they have many duties out here, so, right. And like I said, if we took a poll of owners, I think it would be, everybody wants security out there, so, yeah.
Any other comments, questions, suggestions?
One more?
I'm sorry, it's only 7 o'clock.
Boy.
It's okay, Edie?
Should we sit here for an hour?
Now adjourn? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work, Jody.
Thank you. Did anybody write down any